Hi, my name is Todd Bigelow. I'm a freelance photographer based in Los Angeles for the last 30 years, working primarily with editorial, corporate, and nonprofit clients. I'm also an adjunct professor of photography and photojournalism and a soon-to-be author on a book on freelance business practices. This is 2 Minutes with Todd, a short video series where I address business practices for freelancers. Hope you enjoy. Hi everyone. We're on a holiday week, so I'm going to drop this video a little earlier, and I just wanted to talk briefly about where you're located as a freelancer. Okay, so most people think about moving for a job because you're going to get a staff position someplace, and you're going to move perhaps to DC or New York or Austin or someplace where a publication is going to put you on staff. But it's equally important as a freelancer, and I would even argue, having been a longtime freelancer, even more important that you consider your location as you try to build your client list. So there's a few things I want you to keep in mind. Number one, obviously, what city will perhaps give you the most work and the type of work that you want to do. Okay, so if you really want to do entertainment style photography, photojournalism or portraiture, Los Angeles and New York, places that are large media markets where there's a lot of, film and movie industry type of work, you can definitely locate there. Okay, so think about the type of work you want to do. If photojournalism, you want to, do some hard urban stories, or, even like myself, having worked along the U.S.-Mexico border, going back to the 90s, being based in Los Angeles, made that, very easy haul down to the border, just several hours drive. Okay, and also, maybe centrally located for any jobs in Los Angeles. Okay, so keep in mind the type of work that you want to do and make sure that that is consistent with the location. If you want to do work that's more environmentally, um, grounded, perhaps, going into the Midwest, or if you want to do stories on fracking or anything along those lines, right? So think about those things as you locate and perhaps sign leases. So how long do you want to be in that city? Keep those things in mind, because it's really important that you generate the type of work that you want to work or that you want to do, but also that you can be available to clients that would like to hire you and pay you. So if you're located in a central city, let's say Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, Miami, Chicago, something in Detroit, something along those lines, and you're thinking of either you're already located there or you're thinking of moving there, keep in mind also, do a little bit of research on who is already substantiated in those markets. You're going to find that photographers have been based in certain markets and have developed a good clientele, going back years. If you have similar clients, you might lose a little bit of work if you were getting work from a particular publication in one city and you move to another city because you want to, kind of re-energize yourself. And another photographer is already working for that same client, you might lose a little bit of income there. So, talk to your clients, do a little bit of research, find out, where that work might be. Fairly obvious, but that's an important point. Also, where you're located can help for, travel related assignments. So being in Los Angeles, I picked up a lot of work over the years from Sports Illustrated and others, Time and other publications, going into Mexico and definitely to Hawaii. Been sent to Hawaii many times for work over the years because it's easier for me to get to Hawaii than it is for somebody from New York or Dallas. Shorter flight, of course, that would be more cost effective for the client. If I want to go to Asia, I'm closer to Asia than perhaps somebody in New York. And similarly, those people that are in New York or Florida are easier to get, if you're in Florida, to get to the Bahamas and, any place, perhaps, Cuba, if you can go shoot there. And if you're in New York, it's a 5.5 hour flight to many parts of Europe. So keep those things in mind if that's an important aspect that you'd like to build into your freelancing, because it certainly was for me. And it I've had many chances to move, and I've remained located here for a variety of reasons. The type of work that I want to do and the location, for traveling to do other types of work. Obviously, you want to keep your costs in mind. Okay, the most obvious cost is rent, or if you're looking to buy. Los Angeles and New York, many major metropolises are expensive to live in, and LA and New York are very expensive. San Francisco, very expensive cities to live in, extremely expensive. The rent is very high. Buying properties is very, very expensive. So you want to keep that in mind and how that's going to impact you and how much money you will need to basically clear each month to meet your financial obligations, your rent and your power bills and utility bills and so forth. Also keep in mind things like, how much public transportation is set in the city. Do you have a car? Are you going to be able to locate and have a car? Are you going to be able to insure that car, and how much is it going to cost you? In Los Angeles, we're a car culture. In New York, you can get around a little bit more with public transportation and probably can get by with having to have a car. And I would say, San Francisco is much more evolved than Los Angeles with public transportation. But these are things that you definitely need to keep in mind if you're going to choose a city to work in. Okay. Also, some of the expenses involved in certain cities and states are going to change depending on where you live. So if you're hoping to, function as a limited liability company or an LLC or an S corporation, anything other than a sole proprietorship where you're going to have to pay a fee. In California, I can tell you it's much more expensive than many other states. The annual renewal is right or about $800. And it's also a couple $1,000s usually to set it up. I know that that's substantially less and sometimes nothing in other states to have an LLC and to renew it. So there are cost factors in running your business depending on where you're located. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. Okay. So there's just a few things. It is important, obviously, that you pick a location that is consistent with the type of work that you want to do. That allows for a certain level of work, meaning volume, so that you can meet your financial obligations. And also, that central location can set you up for certain types of work if you want to travel. Okay, being in the Midwest, I'll leave you with this. If you're in the Midwest, if you're centrally located in Dallas, this was brought up to me by a client one time if I wanted to consider relocating. If you're in the middle of the country, it's much easier for you to go east and west and south and north. It's much cheaper. So a client can ask you to travel fairly quickly. I made a number of trips over the years to the East Coast to do work because what the editors were hiring me for, they liked that skill set that I had, but it was obviously much more expensive for me to go all the way to the East Coast than it was perhaps to fly somebody up to the Mid-Atlantic region from, Nashville or something, or Dallas, than it is from Los Angeles. So keep location in mind as a freelancer, and especially if you're thinking about relocating. Okay. Hope that helps. We're getting towards the end of the year. Hope you're healthy and happy, and look forward to seeing you again soon.